Welcome to Key Factors Podcast, where knowledge meets ambition in the fast-paced world of real estate and mortgage. I'm your host, Mark Jones, bringing you the latest insight, trends, and expert advice to navigate this dynamic property market. In each episode, we dive deep into the heart of the industry, dissecting market movement, exploring investment strategies, and unlocking the secret to real estate success. Whether you're a seasoned professional, an aspiring investor, or simply looking to stay ahead of the curve, this is the ultimate guide to making informed decisions in the world of property and real estate. So grab a seat and let's uncover the key factors that make all the difference. Welcome to Key Factors Podcast. Let the journey begin. Welcome back to another episode of Key Factors Podcast, Real Estate AF. And we did decide to change the name of the actual podcast. We'll talk about reasons why here later in the show. But in this episode, in this discussion, I brought along a friend that I've been trying to get on this podcast for quite some time. Not that he was afraid, he just was in the process of building. I totally understand. So without further ado, let me introduce Rommy Deais. What's up, dude?
What's the damn deal, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, bro. How are you?
Doing well. So it's nice to finally get you in that seat, having a discussion about everything under the sun, so to speak.
For sure, man. And it was never anything personal for me not jumping on. It's just, like you said, I was building, kind of staying focused, and I was turning away a lot of podcasts, but now it's time to start building that personal brand.
I like it.
So I'm excited about it.
I like it. So a lot of the folks out there may or may not know who you are. If they don't, shame on them, but we're going to talk a little bit about you today.
Cool.
I want to show the listeners, the viewers, your journey from start to where we are today. So picking that up, I'd like to kind of know, how did you get in the business? Where did you come from? What did you do prior to? Let's go further back into what you did prior to real estate.
Cool, man. I actually got into real estate when I was 18. So This has been about 13 years going on now. Yeah. I've done a few full-time jobs in between. I've worked at Citibank.
Okay.
Actually, at Citibank, that's when I started to find out how good in sales I was. I had a really good supervisor that kind of laid out the breadcrumbs for me. And then from Citibank, I went to selling nationwide. I've kind of sold anything you can think about, man. I've sold Cutco door to door.
I remember
timeshare. I've sold insurance, and the whole time while I had my license, it probably took me about a good 3 years until I jumped into real estate full time.
That makes sense. Okay, so you got your real estate license while you were doing all those different trades, gaining different sales tactics, best practices, even just the brunt of learning sales, because let's face it, sales is not an easy game.
No, not at all, man.
Any sense
and honestly, almost all the above that you mentioned. A lot of people that I've met throughout my journey is what shaped me into where I'm at today. I've had great supervisors. I had great mentors. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all these guys kind of showing me the ropes.
Yeah, no, I believe that. Great. So, Rommy, the first stint into real estate, you had, I guess it was maybe part-time, you were doing it, learning, picking up deals here and there. But I know that you jumped into the rental side, and that was lucrative, still is to this day.
Big time.
But what was your journey like going through that? I mean, what, number one, was the reason why you decided to go that way?
It's kind of an interesting story, honestly, man, because it all happened by accident.
Okay.
There's one time I was talking to my Uncle Retta, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? He's the one that kind of encouraged me to get into real estate. He actually paid for my real estate license.
What a cool dude.
So it was never really my intention to do real estate. He just knew that I would be good at it. So as I was doing my Citibank job, I've had a lot of people. I'm working a call center. So I had everybody looking for rentals. I let everybody know this is what I do. 1 month, I accidentally made $10K. And
accidentally.
I had no idea that there was that kind of money in apartment locating. Sure. And that's where I started to really hit it hard. On average, I would do 20 to 30K once I hit it full time on my third year. And it's just a very very great business, man. And not only do you make great money doing it, but it helps you build your relationships. It
Yeah.
helps you cross sell. It helps you with just your relationship aspect of selling them next year. So there's so many avenues with apartment locating that it opens up a lot of doors for you.
That makes sense. You said something that at first I was like, wait a minute, you accidentally made this amount, but I believe you had told me before that when you do rentals, there's kind of a lag in the pay structure because you're waiting for certain things. Can you explain that? Because I treat me like I'm an infant.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to, man. A lot of people have also wrong misconception with apartment locating.
Yeah.
They think that it's you're gonna make money and make money right away.
Right.
It's very similar to a residential transaction. If you get somebody that is on a pre-owned home, it's taking 30 to 45 days. There's some apartments that pay 30, 45 days.
Right.
But if you get a build that's brand new, it could take 6 months.
It's true.
There are some apartments, unfortunately, that will pay in 6 months. So there's nothing guaranteed. And in the management industry, there's so much rotation going on. I mean, properties getting bought out, getting sold, new management. It's not for the faint of heart, man.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it requires somebody to build good relationships and to combat that. It's with volume. So for
Sure.
you to be successful in apartment locating, you got to be hitting 15, 20K every month to make a living off of it.
And that makes sense. So you're essentially, once you close the next one, you've already started working on the next 5 essentially, because you're continuously stacking your pipeline and feeding that machine, so to speak.
Absolutely, man. And that pipeline just keeps going. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people, and I'm sure you can attest to this, they're not buying because they don't know any better.
Correct.
A lot of people thinking 20% down still. They need to have over a 700 credit score. Most of our clients are spending on average $2,000 to $2,500 on rent.
And what's funny, you mentioned, I just got off of a phone call with a borrower that was speaking to another lender. And I would imagine that other lender was kind of an out of the box type lender in the sense that they only gave her the option of 20% down conventional.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, so is that what they told you your only option was? Yeah, that was our only option. Okay, so they didn't go over any other loan programs. No. I won't name who the lender was. It was an online lender, but
For sure.
essentially, you're right. There are a lot of consumers out there, and I call them consumers because we're all consumers. To be more specific, there are a lot of renters out there that have no clue that they could actually qualify for a property to own.
Absolutely.
You know?
And at the same time, not even if they don't also know about it, because it's more of an education piece, right? But sometimes also they don't have the game plan on how to qualify, right? So somebody could have a 560 credit score. They're right there, and they don't know that they can reach out to somebody with credit repair, get it 20 points up, then qualify. They just haven't had the proper guidance. They just hear the news and interest rates going up and all the crazy stuff, man. So they instill fear into these buyers, and they need somebody with experience that can talk through some of those fears.
And we've spoken about the concept of the media and the fear and the misconception and the misinformation. Matter of fact, by the time that this airs, I've already had the discussion with John Hudson about the social media fear, misinformation that's being spread out there. And all it does is hurts the consumer more and more. And what I'm seeing is a lot of new to the business agents that don't know any better. So they're sharing that information without any explanation or without being able to explain it if they're being asked questions about it. So my advice to them is don't share information that you can't yourself explain, you know?
That, and then also get you a right mentor that
Agreed.
can really coach you and train you. And I have a really big belief of, if a client walks into my office, they should be able to walk away with the same product no matter who they talk to. Somebody for 10 years or my brand new agent, they should get the same results.
Yeah.
A client shouldn't walk into an office and then 2 different realtors, 2 different results. That it shouldn't be that way. So I invest a lot of time and energy into my agents, coaching them, heavily involved with every single transaction.
And I know that for a fact. I've been directly involved with that and seen it, but we're not there yet. So before we get to that realm, that hat, so to speak, that you now wear, while you were producing, I can imagine that you did pretty well for yourself. I mean, to be able to take the risk in opening up your own brokerage to taking the risk in being a mentor for others, you've had to have gone through different transactions. You've had to have failed many times, you know, and that's the one thing that I speak about quite often because it's the one thing that most myself and the guests have in common. We've all failed many times. Matter of fact, still failing today.
Well, I mean, if you don't fail, it's you just have bad expectations. You're not trying hard enough. That's part of the process.
I
Like
agree.
you have to fail. If you're not failing, you're not getting uncomfortable.
It's true. It's true.
Big time.
So with you focusing on the rentals back then, now how long were you an agent before you decided to do your own thing?
Became a broker in 2018. So
Okay.
it was about 6 years.
Yeah.
So 7 years I was an agent
Good deal.
right before I got it.
And what was, okay, let me ask you this. While you were an agent, because most of us develop our own business plans and this is what I'm going to focus on so that I can get to my ultimate goal, et cetera, what was your business plan looking like? And you may not have had one. You could, like me in the beginning, I'll be honest, in the beginning, my first several years in the mortgage business, I was just using my pure talent and experience and I guess my lack of fear in talking to people and expressing my expertise, advising, asking the right questions. If I didn't know the answer, I was honest with them, told them I don't know, but I'll find out for you and I will get it back to you by this time. And what I found is that as long as you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, you're going to be all right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, go ahead.
For me, as far as business plan, this also may come off funny to you, but I had zero business plan. Actually, the way I opened up my office is I went to all my friends and I told every single person to go get their real estate license. So about 6 to 8 months before I got my broker license, I was already planning all of this. So when I first opened up my office, November 1st of 2018, it was nothing but all my close friends that I went to high school with, that I still went and partied with, hung out with. If you would have came to my office back in 2018, it's like a frat house in there.
I believe it.
So there was no plan behind it. It was more so of I knew I had something special. My broker Daryl, he's one of the main ones that really inspired me and pushed me to believe in myself to even be able to do this.
And we're talking Daryl with 3D.
Daryl Clinton, yeah, that's where I parked my license for the last 5 years before I moved on. Him and Trisha, some of the best people you're ever gonna meet. These guys really put me on, man.
Yeah.
And he told me what I have with the apartments is something very special. He's never really seen anywhere. So I started coaching and helping some of his agents out in the office, and that's whenever I realized, like, man, I got something special here.
Yeah.
And then we opened up my office. Zero experience with everybody. Not one person had their license, and we figured it all out together. On our 4th month, I think we already started billing out at 120, 130,000.
Yeah.
So it picked up very fast.
It did. And I think by that time, you may or may not had a plan, but to me, you seem like someone that sets goals and goes after the goal. And the path may not be clear, but you do know the path.
Yeah.
And reason being, could have been a mentor, could have been your gut. And sometimes that's enough. You know, I feel like this is not going to be the right path. Let's go this way.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen. I've been somebody that does that. As I move forward, of course, I had to put the plan together. Once things start growing more and more, you're only one person, you know? So that being the case, when you opened, you had agents. Some had training, some didn't. But when I came across you guys, you had a pretty solid machine. You walked into your office and it did not feel like a frat house. It felt like a very well put together, and it still feels like a well put together organization with strong leadership, with the pupils of that listening to the leadership, and almost a think tank, a conglomerate of melting ideas. And that's what I loved about being around you guys. So when you did set out to do that, what was the first couple of months like?
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. Like you said, we all have goals,
Yeah.
and we wanna accomplish those goals. Sometimes the path is not clear.
Right.
I would be silly to think that I built this all by myself. I've had so many different agents that have come in that almost, one person comes in, takes it this far, another person comes in, takes it this far. What really got the structure mostly together is an agent that worked for me named Mindy Dennis. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember her,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
she came in and she provided us the structure that we needed with the onboarding, with having consistent trainings,
Mhm.
and it was something that made me open up my eyes to what I was missing. So things didn't end up working out between her and I. Of course, we wish her well. Hopefully she's killing it, whatever she's doing.
Right.
But she really is the one that kind of structured us and put us together. And
Yeah.
since then, we've been building from that.
And I remember working with Mindy hand in hand, and she had your training programs top notch. I mean, there was an agenda all the time. The agents were always getting something out of it. Very hands on, of course, but in essence, and not to say anything bad against Mindy because she's great at what she does, you were able to continue those trainings as she departed and still maintained that level of respect in regards to, okay, if I'm a new to the business agent and I need mentorship, because let's face it, you go to EXP, any of the other places, you're on your own. There is very little mentorship unless you are strong enough of a person to reach out to the others within your group, or else you're spending your time at different seminars that you're really not going to get much out of. Essentially, it's marketing for X, Y, and Z person.
I pick up a few agents from those
Correct.
cloud-based brokerages.
There you go.
sometimes.
Yeah. So that being the case, what was the edge that gave you the ability to recruit strong, the ability to continue to add agents to your group that complemented what you guys were doing?
That's a great question, man. I'll be honest with you. With most people, I've gotten brand new
Yeah.
into the business, not a lot of experience. So whenever you invest so much into an agent, it helps you build more of a culture. And I would say 95% of all my agents fresh out of champions. So even somebody like Desmond, who runs my entire company now,
Mhm.
he wasn't a real estate agent. He was actually my personal trainer before I recruited him into the business and then really taught him everything I know. Now this is the next guy that's taking my business to that next level.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of investing into your agents, getting away from the top performer hat and then going into trying to inspire other agents. That was always a very big challenge of mine. But whenever you start making agents successful, people hear about it and then now they start wanting to join us. So we've never really gone out and recruited people. People seek us out. They're always hitting us up on social media. They either find us on Instagram or
Yep.
from apartment locating, or they heard about something that we do or have done at an event, and they really want to be a part of it. Like this week, we onboarded 6 brand new agents.
Okay.
Every single one of them came from a different apartment locating agency where they weren't happy with what they were doing.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So the next piece that I want to get into. Okay, so the next piece that I would like to get into essentially is talking about this apartment locating, the edge that you guys have, because I don't think that it's ever been more advantageous right now than it ever has been to have a foot in the door with leases, leasing companies, rentals, and I'm sure you guys have, I don't know, communication with apartments, um, landlord type investors, property management companies all around San Antonio that allow you guys to have that edge over, let's say, XYZ agent that has never done that before.
For sure.
In addition to the agents that are going, I don't want to deal with apartments. I don't want to deal with rentals.
It's a lot of people have the wrong idea, man, when it comes down to apartment locating. There's levels to everything that you do in this business.
Yeah.
Apartment locating, in my opinion, that's level one. You need to learn how to be able to get in early with clients, learn how to talk to people, build some confidence, make a little bit of money, and then educate these clients just so they can buy from you the following year. Whenever there's a brand new agent that comes out from Champions and they're being told, go work your sphere of influence, go run these events, or go do X, Y. A lot of people sometimes they don't know what they're doing. They got their real estate license thinking it's going to be an easy job, but it's the complete opposite of it being easy, you know. So
And that's something that I do want to talk about as we continue. Go ahead.
absolutely. So whenever I have a new agent come to me, I give them a sense of direction. They don't have where they wake up one day and they don't know what they need to do. They understand what ads to post. They understand what properties to visit. It's very structured when you come into my office. Not only is it structured with the training, but I actually created scripts written by myself that I give to my agents so they can just speak with their clients. So I can just take all the thinking out of it for them, essentially. Just follow my words, even when they get to the office and you're talking to them. Here's how you cross-sell them. If you can't cross-sell them or show the benefits of becoming a homeowner, here's how you lease them. And I give them the product knowledge on the apartment side. So I have agents in my office doing 20, the top number was Des, 43,000 in a month before.
Wow.
But I have agents consistently doing from 20 to 30 every single month.
Yeah.
And they make a great living out of doing it.
Now, those agents that you're mentioning here, do they have business plans, or are they flying by the seat of their pants as you were when you first started in the industry, and could even increase their volume more if they had a business plan?
So they get not only business plans, but they actually get one-on-ones. Sometimes, if not monthly, it's weekly.
Okay.
It depends on the agent themselves.
Sure,
If an agent benefits from a business plan where we're not just doing it to waste each other's time,
Right.
you're actually going to follow it. You look at data, you look at conversion. Then at that point, that makes a lot of sense. But if an agent comes in and I know they're not going to give a shit about a business plan, maybe spending more time with these guys, maybe putting them on a little bit of a shorter leash than someone else that I know has the right structure for it, and they may need a little bit more hand holding. But that's where the one-on-ones come into play. We spend probably on average between Desmond and I, we're doing 10 to 15, sometimes 20 one-on-ones in a week.
Wow. And that was my next question is, as a broker, I know you've gone through I've got to do it all myself, and then you learn to delegate. And from there,
Trying to learn to delegate.
Exactly. We're all trying. And I think that's a consistent battle that we will continue to face, because right now is not good enough for me. And a year from now, we are going to get better. And that's probably not going to be good enough for me. So we're always going to be constantly reaching for that next plateau, that next mountain, that next peak. Why? Because it's all about the views, baby.
It's kind of like what you said on the video the other day, man. That was a cool video you made, by the way. You were like, once you reach the top of the mountain, guess what? There's another mountain, right? So that journey never ends. You got to know how to be able to enjoy it all the way through.
Right.
And I've been blessed with the leaders that I have, man. Not only is Desmond leading the way, but we also have Liz Galvez, which I know you know very well.
Absolutely.
She sits on the board of realtors.
That's
this
awesome.
girl's amazing with giving us the inside scoop with what's going on in the market.
Yeah.
And she's been with me since I opened up my company. I have Tommy, which Tommy used to run Lifetime Fitness, very structured type of guy. So he's structuring all my agents with systems, Excel spreadsheets, and they got all. And then Mario's hiring, and then now we're working on getting somebody in the social media side of things, which I think we have a pretty good idea of what that's going to be, man.
Yeah, no, and that is one of the things that I do want to talk about is the social media piece. But before we do, as a broker, what is worth your time? And I say that in a meticulous way, not to say your time is too valuable for anyone. It's just a matter of, there are plenty of brokers out there. There are plenty of agents that are aspiring brokers one day. And for me, I know what is a time suck at this point and what is a time giver in essence. What to you has seemed to be your biggest time giver, meaning you will spend your time to do it every time, no matter what, no matter how long it takes. And then there are things that I'm already learned that this is a waste of my time. It's not a needle moving activity. It's not anything that's going to move myself or the agent to the next level.
Yeah.
What are some of those things?
It's those are very easy ones to go to.
Yeah.
I can think of one right away, man. My one-on-ones, I always feel like I get the most value out of being able to spend time with my agent. So that's something that I'll always be able to give to an agent if they want me to be able to provide them with whatever type of support that they may need, or if they just need some motivation or sit down and just talk about anything that's happening in their life that's preventing them from hitting their goals.
Right.
I'll always make myself available to my agents. I mean, I have agents calling me at 11, 12 a.m. sometimes, so I'm very close with these guys.
Right.
The time sucker part is kind of what I just went through recently of trying to put structure in my business, because I got to a point to where I had 75, almost close to 90 agents, and I had no systems. I was operating on Google Drive.
Like herding cattle.
It was like a mom and pop shop, dude. It wasn't easy. So
Yeah.
I had to go back to the drawing board, and then I had to build out a whole new platform, a new system where lease confirmations are being done, my back office is being cleaned up, DAs are automatically being done. We're no longer just shooting all over the place. Even I had my setup where certain agents were getting a certain split, other agents were getting another
Yeah.
split, and I didn't remember who was getting what. It was all too complicated. It's like whenever you're building it up and it got that big, you started losing a little bit of the culture.
I agree. Yeah.
Time suck for me was trying to build out that platform. That's where I'm not a big fan. I'm a big sales guy, man. Just put me in front of people and just hit record like we're doing now.
Yeah.
And go, right? But I don't like to sit down and do like data or admin work, or I'm not that guy for it. So
That's not one of your strengths.
No,
Yeah.
8 months it took me to be able to build it out, but now we're done. We're good. We're in the clear.
Now, would you say that was definitely a necessary time suck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
time. Big time. It was my back, because we do a lot of apartment locating. We're doing about 150. Sometimes on our best month, we've done 200,000 in commission. So on average, that's about 100 to 150 leases.
Right.
And we do all the invoicing for the agents. So
Gotcha.
being able to communicate where the leases are at to the agents, and being able to call the properties, and then sometimes properties would sell, and it's just a very complicated situation. I don't think anybody can really figure out the back office when it comes down to apartment locating. That's why most brokers just shy away from it.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty daunting task to keep track of when these things are going to fall into the account, of course. All the while, you're still having to continue to keep your agents motivated, knowing that, hey, you've got closed deals, they're coming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I need you to get back out there so you can work on the next month.
I actually started offering my agents draws. So now if they needed access to their money, if they have something in their pipeline, they come to me, they ask me for a draw, and then I just basically pay them in advance on it, and I'll wait for the money once it comes in.
Yeah, smart.
Just so I can support their business, and they can start sponsoring things on Instagram again, and really getting their business off its feet.
Absolutely. So now let's get into the Instagram concept, because I've known you for several years now, and you guys had John Story come in, talk to you. I'm sure you've had other influencers come in and talk to you. And what I've seen as an onlooker is you guys have it down in regards to how you grow your Instagram influencer followers, etc. And it doesn't matter if it's Instagram, Facebook, you guys are doing it, Is there a secret sauce? Have you guys taken classes for things of that nature? Or is it, like I was saying before, melting pot of ideas that are continuing to grow because each other are continuing to add to that pot?
That's exactly it. So we had an agent that joined us that was very good on social media, maybe not very good on the real estate side of things, but we ended up moving him from being a realtor to become my marketing director for quite some time. And there's a method behind it. I don't understand it fully myself, but the audio is very important. What time you post, how you engage on your posts, and other people's posts, all that stuff takes into account on how you grow on social media. But I can tell you it's not that difficult. All my agents are doing it. How?
It's true. It is true.
That's a good question to my new marketing director. He could teach you how to be able to do that, man.
No, it makes sense. And the success that you're seeing from that, I can imagine that the type of leads that come in, it's, I don't know, how are you teaching them to convert? Is it going back to the weekly, monthly sales meetings that you do and you focus in on these types of things?
It's we do weekly meetings, but you're absolutely right. These leads are completely different, man. I
Yeah.
was actually doing a training on it with my leaders not that long ago because some of these leads that come in, they don't necessarily just want to be in San Antonio.
Right.
Sometimes they want to be in Austin, sometimes Houston, Dallas. A lot of people relocating from California, coming over, and they're just like, where should I go? So having that conversation with a client and trying to guide them through that process, it can be a daunting task, especially for a new agent that doesn't really understand how to speak to that. You know, they're not very versed just yet. So a lot of those leads sometimes will go over to agents that know how to handle them. And then the ones that are in San Antonio could come over to agents that are still trying to get going a little bit. But those leads are more organic. So there's organic leads and then there's paid leads that you get. All the leads that we get that are organic, those are the ones that shoot all over the state. So that can come in from anywhere.
That makes
If you
sense.
do paid ads, well, now you're messing with your targeting. That's coming directly from the city that you're sponsoring in. So that's going to be a little bit different.
That makes a lot of sense. And we've specialized in those types of ads, Google ads, but from the lending side, because one of my goals as a producer from day one, 2012, was I want to find a way to get to that buyer first to be able to leverage that with an agent, but I'm not wasting that agent's time. This is an approved buyer concept. And that's why we created Review My Mortgage and now LoanBot. And it has helped many consumers out there see transparently what's out there for them, what's available, what is actually possible in regards to buying versus renting, you know? And I feel like your agents are doing the same thing in that regard.
It's very similar. It's more of an education piece in every single scenario, man.
Yeah.
You have to really educate your clients. Sometimes people don't know how to do real estate. We know sometimes better than they do. So you have to be able to speak to that. And that's really where I spend a lot of my time with my agents is how to ask the right questions, how to pull the right information that you need so you can give them whatever is necessary to fix their problem, you know.
Let's speak on that for just a bit. And the reason why I want to hone in on this in particular has a lot to do with what's happening in our market today and what has taken place since 2020. And in my opinion, since 2020, there has been numerous agents flocking to our industry because of the ease, in addition to the amount of money that you can possibly make if you close transactions. And what it ended up doing was skipping over the value, the high trust conversation, the high trust interview with the customer. I'm preaching it with my loan officers, and especially new to the business loan officers. I want them to know that that first call with the borrower, it should probably be about 30, 45 minutes. Well, why? Why so long? Well, your goal is to find out anything you possibly can that borrower is willing to tell you, but it has a lot to do with what you ask. And from what they give, you're not only forming a relationship, you're showing them that you care, but you can also take everything that they've given you to provide them their options that literally fit in with what they've just given you, essentially.
It's like you're asking questions with intention.
Yeah.
Right? So once you get the answers you're looking for, then you can formulate a solution for them. And with experience, you can formulate things a little bit faster, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you have to know why you're asking. And I actually had a training on this with my agents last week where it's almost like you just keep bugging them with a question. Are you pre-approved? When are you looking to buy? And have you bought before? And then they don't let those conversations carry on through. So it's like they're just bombarding them with questions. Like, well, what's the point of getting this information if we're not doing anything with this information?
Correct.
So I always coach my agents to on the phone about 10 to 30 minutes and no business whatsoever. We just want to be able to uncover pain points of theirs, why they're moving and how we can help them, and then position ourselves the right way and then pull these guys in just so we can do the sales here face to face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of agents that when they get to me, have no idea what is going on in their borrower's situation, their life. Hey, they want to get pre-approved for a loan. Okay, no problem. Have you talked to them yet? Yeah, we talked to them and they want to buy a house. Okay, great. What did you ask anything like what do you have for me that can help this conversation go smoother, can help us get to Z a little bit faster and smoother?
Yeah.
And the things that I'm looking for out of that type of, hey, agent, what do you know, is, well, they've got a couple of kids. They were moving from this city. Do you know the reason why they were moving from that city? If not, no big deal. I'm going to ask those questions, but if I can go into it with a little leg up, I can then use that not as leverage, but a way to build that relationship much quicker.
You're making an impression right away.
Right.
It's like helping you to help them at the end of the day close the transaction.
Absolutely. And 3 months ago, I jumped back into production, and in the last month have been very heavy into producing. And I'm finding that lenders aren't having these conversations. Realtors are not having these conversations. And it leads me to believe that all the things that we're kind of seeing, not on the front face of media, but more so in the groups and in the discussions that I'm having with other top agents, top brokers, is the cream is going to rise to the top, meaning your top 10%, 1% is going to do most of the transactions moving forward because they do the right things. They ask the right questions. They don't shortchange any of the process.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people nowadays are getting into real estate thinking, like I said earlier, it's going to be easy and I'm going to sell a few transactions and it's going to be great. You're running a business.
Yep.
You need to understand everything you do, it needs to be intentional. The relationships you build, the people you do business with, how you treat people, all that's going to go a very, very long way. So if you're coming into this on the phone, just trying to see what's in it for me, let me make a quick commission, this business is not for you. You have to sometimes even take a loss on certain deals just to make the deal happen for the client. And whatever it takes, that's closes that relationship. They're going to buy and sell from you again. But it takes somebody that's self-developed and understands the long game of this for them to be able to follow those plans. If not, they're just, are you pre-approved? Are you pre-approved? And trying to move it down the sales process, let alone not knowing that they're actually destroying the sales process along the way.
That's a very good point. To that point, I'm going to piggyback off and ask a tough question.
Okay.
How do you know, as a broker and a mentor and a leader, who has the je ne sais quoi to make it in this industry? And I'm sure you've come to terms with the writing on the wall with individual agents, just as I have. I can tell you who has a good chance after spending a month with them. What are some things that are indicators that you've seen that an agent is probably not going to make it in this business?
This answer may shock you, man, but in my opinion, I really feel like anybody can make it in this business.
Okay.
Maybe somebody's journey is going to take a little bit longer to pick up, but if somebody's not going to make it in this business, that's whenever they stop trying or they stop trying to improve or they give up essentially. But I've had agents that I've wanted myself to be like, man, I don't think I can get these guys to where I want to go. And then eventually they start to do extremely well. Some of it has to do with some maybe different form of leadership. Maybe I had to put Desmond in front of them, or maybe I had to put Liz in front of them, you know, but I really truly believe that anybody can do it. It's not, I know me saying that, and people are going to be like, well, shit, let me get into real estate. No, we don't want everybody to get into real estate, right? But you have to have personality. You have to know how to communicate with people. You have to know how to build relationships. And the biggest part that I'll know if somebody's going to be successful is how do they take care of themselves? Are they personally developed? That was the biggest thing for me, is that I thought, just like you said earlier, that I can keep running off pure talent. Yeah. So as I kept selling more and leasing more and all, I wasn't taking care of me. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't spending time with my wife. I wasn't spending time with my family. So because I neglected me, everything else started to go to shit. So once you are self-developed, once you focus and understand that you're the person that's moving the needle and you treat yourself like that, everything else follows. And there's a great quote that my So Desmond is one of my leaders, but he's also a form of mentor for me because the guy is the most personally developed person I have ever met in my entire life.
I believe
And
that.
he said one quote to me that really sticks out over and over again is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're not taking care of yourself personally,
Mhm.
you're not gonna be able to take care of your family. You're not gonna be able to take care of your business. You're not gonna be able to take care of your relationship. And it's true. Whenever I neglected myself, all those things were going very bad.
That's
Now that I'm taking care of myself and now I'm back in the gym, I actually just ran my first 10K. I know, 6 miles. I would have never thought, bro. I would have never thought I could
me
do that.
neither, dude.
You know, and that's the thing is he also mentioned this like anybody could do anything. So we joined forces, him and I together, man, our belief of just pushing people through and really helping impact people and changing their lives. It's awesome doing it with somebody that has the same concept of life as you do. So
Absolutely.
personal
And
development.
and one of the things that me as a leader, you as a leader can relate to is that take care of yourself first
Mhm.
mentality. And I learned this from actually one of my assistants or loan partners from a while back, Michael Kingsbury. If you ever happen to tune into this stuff, yeah, I'm talking to you, man. Yeah. So essentially, he would, and he learned this from his dad. And it was anytime you say hello to someone, or anytime his father would say hello to someone, it was more, especially somebody that he knew, it was, how are you doing? How is work? And how is your family? And the reason why it was in that order is if you are not taking care of yourself, you
don't
can't
have
go
to
to
ask
work.
it too.
You know what I'm saying? You can't go to work. You can't provide for that family that essentially wins when you take care of yourself and are able to do all the other things.
I agree.
So that has rang true. And for me, I posted that video that was like the most sincere and vulnerable I had been in a little while.
Great job on your job, bro. That's
I
awesome.
mean, Jesus,
Good for
man,
you.
that was tough. But that in itself was almost a confirmation to myself, going, okay, dumbass, you need to take care of yourself first, because you can't continue to run at the pace that you're doing if you don't take care of yourself. In addition, it was, make sure you get focused on the things that are truly important, that really move the needle, and stop getting distracted with all this bullshit. Truly. And I think in our industry, it's very easy to get distracted. There's a lot of shiny objects. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of he said, she said. There's a lot of additional things that we can spend our time on that are literally a waste of time.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. There's been times where I forget we're in real estate. You know, I just sometimes you want to sell some real estate. I want to coach people on selling real estate. I don't want to play the politics of it. You
I'm right
know,
there with
I don't want to have to, you know, be worried about what this person's doing or that person's doing. I know there's a lot of talks about what's going on with NAR. I'll be also honest with you. I sat down with my team for just a little bit on it. But we don't spend a lot of time there. There's no need to. So
Right.
we have to sometimes block out all that noise around you, especially for somebody like ourselves that are going to continue to want to achieve things. You want to hit goals. We keep improving, right? Haters are going to continue to come out of anywhere. You know, they're going to continue saying negative things. And obviously my business coach always told me that if they're not talking shit, you're not doing something for them to talk shit about.
Exactly.
So
I used to say the same thing about cease and desist letters.
what's that?
Gotten a few. But in that regard, I mean, that is definitely one thing that I can relate to 100%. I have grown a branch. I've grown many teams. I've lost many teams. I have lost many branches, so to speak. And in this market, it's led me to shrink everything down and start focusing on me, the folks that are very close around me, and let's make our lives better than what it was before, by working cohesively, working towards the same goal, and getting rid of all the noise, because there's
Absolutely.
a lot of noise in our industry.
And that's never going to stop, man.
Right.
You know, as soon as you start to do well for yourself, they're just going to keep getting louder and louder. That's where the personal development really comes into play, because you need to know how to be able to block out that outside noise. Just put your head down and go to work.
That's right.
That's what you need to do, because at the end of the day, if you want to do something great, they're going to keep talking about it. I mean, look at how much people hate Donald Trump. You know what I mean? And look at the success that guy has acquired. I mean, it's just, there's nobody likes successful people, because it's just a reflection of things that they didn't do, and that's why they're hating. Really, it's they're hating on themselves.
That's so true. And matter of fact, that in itself is, they are trying to justify where they're at or their lack thereof.
Absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of jealousy, there's going to be a lot of envy, there's going to be a lot of naysayers. That's going to be all over the place. So how you react to these things is what's going to speak volumes, especially for a leader that has a team where everyone looks up to them.
Right.
How you respond to these events really helps you build character. And all you can do is just shake their hand, wish them well, and hopefully they do well. In my experience, anybody that builds something with bad intentions, it never sees the light of day, in my opinion. I mean, have people gone from beginning to end and they've been bad their whole life? Sure. But I really believe in karma. I really believe in the universe. You can't put shit out there and expect to get gold back. That's just not going to happen.
That's right. So what's my horoscope?
You will be more rich, Mark Jones.
Or die trying.
There you go. That's the game, the name of the game, bro.
So let's get into some of the current events.
Okay.
You mentioned NAR and the settlement and things of that nature. And I've already had the conversation with other broker, realtors, listing agent. We had Robert on here, Jeff, and Chris Marty. And it was pretty enlightening that we all kind of had the same perception and perspective of what took place, but we were attacking it from the standpoint of, we want to convey what we know thus far and how we perceive or interpret what we know. I'm sure there were a ton of agents that on that day that email got blasted out, shit themselves. They had no clue what it meant, and they went to their broker, and their broker went, I don't fucking know either. But business as usual.
Yep.
Right? What are some things that you've talked to your agents about thus far in regards to this NAR ruling settlement?
I just don't see any major changes just yet. You know, the biggest thing is you can't market the commission on MLS, right? So at the same time, whenever you're presenting a buyer rep agreement to your buyers, it says it in there that, hey, you have to pay 3%. So if they're having the right conversations already, I don't see an agent having their business change in any type of way. So I don't see it being a big difference. In my opinion, I put myself on the listing agent side, right? So if I was a listing agent trying to sell my house, do I get any benefits of not charging the seller 6%? No, I want to compensate the buyer and the buyer's agent, excuse me, and I want everybody to get it to the finish line, right? If I'm not paying the buyer's agent, they're more than likely to have influence on the deal.
Right.
How do you think they're going to influence the deal?
Right.
So it's one of those things where, as all of us as brokers and agents, as long as we get together and we understand that we just got to do things the right way, I don't think there's going to be a major change in any type of way.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean, all the research, all of the headlines and different perspectives, and what I'm seeing now, because we jumped out on it immediately. Nothing has changed thus far, but you're still seeing NAR settlement discussions, NAR what's going to change seminars or classes. And for me, I see that as a way definitely for lenders, different brokers to get in front of agents that are unaware of what's going on. But thus far, like you said, the only thing that has changed is you cannot market those commissions in the MLS system. Therefore, business as usual for the most part.
Business as usual for everything.
Now, I believe that even, well, I don't even know if I can say that. Consumers have no clue how this works until it's their turn to buy or sell. And when they go to buy or sell, let's say they're selling, that listing agent is going to educate them on the concept of offering a commission to the agent that is bringing you the buyer and the importance of why we should do that. The buyer's agent is more than likely going to educate them that you don't necessarily have to pay this commission unless the seller decides not to pay that. I will be able to have conversations with the listing agent beforehand to know if that is going to be the case or not. But I just don't see until sellers decide to go, you know what? I'm not going to pay 6%. I'm going to see what it looks like if I go 4%. Who gets the 3? Who gets the 1? Who gets the 2? Who gets the 2? Who knows? But I think pretty quickly, a seller that does that is going to come to find out that their property is going to sit a little bit longer. Now, should it? No. If we were all blind and didn't care what commissions were, et cetera, but we're only human. And what I mean by that is if somebody says, hey, we're not paying buyer's agent commission on this, and you're working with a buyer that can't afford a realtor, you're not going to go show them that house. I mean, it's just human nature. And I think that's what the NAR should have fought for in you guys' regards a little bit more because of situations like that. What do you do when your buyer who is using down payment assistance or USDA 100% finance or veteran who's using 100% finance loan comes across a listing that they want, but the seller's not paying any commission to the buyer's agent? Do you not show them that home? Do you write the contract for free? That doesn't make sense to me. So NAR, did you think about that when you took this settlement?
In my opinion, and I don't want to, dissect it.
Sure.
But what I think this is going to open up is more lawsuits. That's what I think at the end of the day, it's going to come. They just want to be able to get paid. They want to make their money. And in my opinion, with where we're at now and how to combat that is I teach my agents how to build better value as a buyer's agent. So making sure that worst case scenario, they understand, hey, you might have to pay this 3%. And worst case scenario, if we have to maybe go down to 2% or 1%, we'll make it work for you essentially. But they understand the value. Hey, this is what you're getting. You're going to get somebody that's going to write contracts for you. We're going to run comps for you, inspections, making sure that you're getting yourself into the right deal that's going to save you hundreds of thousands in the future versus you paying me the $2, $4, $6,000 or whatever it is. So it's more so just building the proper value on it. And outside of that, for somebody like myself, if I was still selling real estate and I took them and I'm not getting paid commission, sure, I'm going to be upset. But if this is the right house for that client, I'm going to try to squeeze a referral out of it. I'm going to try to get the list. I'm going to let the buyer know, hey, listen, these guys are not paying me because I'm not getting paid. I don't want to enforce it on you guys. Here's what you owe me. Just send me a referral and now we're square.
That would be a solid way to go about it.
There's so many different avenues of ways that you can combat it to where it's not going to throw a big curveball in your business. And for us, I'd say probably 80% of our business is brand new, because a lot of what we do, they come in thinking they're going to lease an apartment and they walk out buying a house. And we really just push the brand new side because of zero closing costs, lower interest rates. So that's majority of our business is going to be brand new. So for RD Realty, I don't foresee any issues, So that's where we had a meeting about it, 30 minutes, shut that book, and everybody's out there still killing it. So.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely.
So that being the case, let's talk about the market conditions because as a mentor, as a leader, I know hands-on, you are assisting these agents in sometimes putting deals together, sometimes speaking to their borrowers on their behalf, sometimes speaking to the listing agents to get things done. What are you seeing in today's market as it has shifted or changed from what it used to be 2.5 years ago?
So right after COVID is what you're saying.
There you go.
Okay, I
Yeah.
mean, right after COVID, that'll never happen again. You required zero skill 2.5 years ago to be
Yeah.
able to do 5 million, right?
Definitely.
Things were just falling in your lap nonstop. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just a crazy time that we're in my opinion. With where we're at now, this is the way that market is supposed to be. This is the type of market for trained agents, experienced agents that know how to structure deals, that know how to solve problems, because at the end of the day, that's what a real estate transaction is. It's just a lot of problems, and
Sure.
your job is to solve it one problem at a time and to keep moving forward. I know we have some listings that have been sitting on the market a little bit longer, so average day on market went up a little bit, but I appreciate a market like this versus 2.5 years ago, where you were just drawing up offers 50K over, 75K over. Fingers crossed. I hope it goes through. Now you actually have to structure deals. Now you have to talk to a builder about maybe buying this client out of their lease or accepting a contingency contract. So now you have to be very versed in how to solve problems. And if you can't solve problems as well, you're going to get out of the business very quickly.
That makes good sense. That makes good sense. Matter of fact, that's a great outlook on what is actually happening in our market right now.
Everything I look at it, man, very positive. Even if there's a fire around me. It's like, yo, we needed the heat.
I love that. I love that.
It's
And
just
you always have been that. A lot of people have compared us to each other because we've got that good energy. We mean well. We're going to work hard. You're not going to outwork me concept. And I want to take as many people as I possibly can with me to that higher mountain, so to speak. That being the case, I mean, since you're not seeing the struggles of others, because let's face it, the amount of transactions have definitely decreased. I think it's picking back up. Don't get me wrong. And it always does around this time historically. But in regards to what has taken place to what is now, I'm sure you went through losses. I'm sure you went through having to recruit new people to replace what production was in there. What is that like, if you don't mind going through that concept?
It's sales, high turnover, nonstop. You can't, it would be bad expectations for me to think that every agent that walks into my office is going to stay in my office. So if they walk into my office, I'm just grateful enough to be able to coach them up and train them for the time being that I have with them. After that, for me again to think I'm going to hang on to these agents, it's kind of crazy, and I'm always going to be disappointed at that point.
Sure.
So you have to keep the wheels turning nonstop. You have to keep getting new blood, and it's going to be coming in, and then old blood's going to be going out, and that's just going to be the nature of our business. As far as our numbers with residential, we're actually picking up. And I think a lot of it has to do with the apartment locating we're doing.
Oh, for sure.
I think we've already closed right under 30 million in the first quarter. And then we have about 45 homes in escrow pending to close.
That's awesome.
So we should be able to clear 200 million this year as a group.
That's
our
awesome.
best year was last year. We did right under 140.
Okay.
So a lot of what we do is running campaigns from apartment leases. We're leasing 100 on average each month. So that's 1,200 in a year. I'm repulling these guys right back into my office so they can buy homes. So maybe that's why we're not feeling the market itself. We're not big enough just yet to feel the dent like maybe KW or maybe Remax, but we're still 6 years in business, so we're still on the way up. So that's why maybe we're not feeling it as much.
Well, I mean, I think hats off to you for seeing or having the foresight to, number one, not be afraid to build your business model around rentals and rental properties, even apartments for that matter. But leveraging that concept, because you can have a great business just doing apartments and rentals, but you'll never be able to bust that needle open wider or higher if that's all you focus on. So I know that you guys are converting them to actual buyers, which is, goodness gracious, one of the best things ever, because most of these people renting, the biggest factor is they had no clue that they actually could buy, and they were afraid to even try. What is, and I don't know, maybe we can put on a little clinic right here on what are some of the concepts, what are some of the practices that you guys use to have a successful conversion from, hi, Rommy, I would like to find a rental, or I'd like to find an apartment. where do I go from here? And
Okay.
what does that look like to converting a buyer to a buyer from a renter?
Well, what I teach my agents is to never cross sell unless these guys bought you. So I always tell them that you're the product, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you can build a good relationship with them before that they can even trust you, so you can talk about their biggest investment, right? So you can't do it over the phone. You can't just be just kind of non-intentional about it, just throwing things around. You have to really ask proper questions and then try to understand them a little bit more. So a lot of my cross-selling training has to do with really, once we're going over a guest card, you've heard pre-qualifying without pre-qualifying,
Yeah,
right?
pre-qualifying.
You're just pre-qualifying them by asking conversation questions, and you're figuring it out. So I'll let them know if they've been at the job over 2 years, if they spend $1,500 on their rent and up, this is the way that you need to bring it up. So they fill out a guest card. Every client that walks into my office, they fill out a guest card talking about how much money they make and how much they want to spend on rent.
Okay.
You can bring it up one of two ways, right?
Right.
So if somebody's spending $2,000 a month in rent, what I teach my agents to say is something along the lines of, wow, $2,000 a month, that's a very healthy budget. Most of my clients that are spending this kind of money, they're spending it on their mortgage. If you don't mind me asking, what's stopping you from buying?
That's
Right?
perfect.
So that can come from just complimenting them on their budget and then trying to tell them, hey, most people that are spending this, they're doing it this way.
Yeah.
Why are you here by yourself?
Right.
So now they're thinking like, damn, let me ask some more questions. What do you mean most people? And then now I open up that conversation for them. You can do it the same way based off their income. So if somebody's making 15 grand a month,
Right.
wow, 15 grand a month, very healthy income. Most of my clients making this kind of income, they're investing it into their own mortgage.
Right.
Why are you paying someone else's mortgage?
And you're doing it from a standpoint of, I'm going to pat this borrower on the back, or I'm going to pat this customer on the back for a good job, acknowledging that. But I think your biggest and greatest point thus far on that little clinic piece is, don't even fix your mouth to start doing that until you've built rapport with this person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, why would they listen to you? You know, why would they want to take your advice or even hear you out? They're probably going to just be like, yeah, no, whatever. So that's what I always tell my agents. As soon as a client comes in the office, show starts, right? From the second that they walk in, they shouldn't be in my lobby just waiting around. You should be at the front to welcome them. As soon as they come in, offer them something to drink. They're greeted with an iPad just so they can start putting their information in.
Yeah.
So I'm helping them get set up. Transparency also creates trust. So once you walked into my office, I'm sure you saw I had TVs everywhere.
Absolutely.
So as soon as a client comes in and we have their laptop up, they can see everything we're doing. They can trust you right away versus behind the computer and, you know, what's your credit score? 600. And you're taking just notes, right? They're thinking like, damn, what are you typing?
What are you typing?
No, I want full transparency just so you see what we're about and then build rapport. For somebody like myself, I use humor in almost every single area.
Yeah.
And you can ask my agents, whenever I was working appointments for them, they knew when I was going to go to the next step is whenever my clients are having the best time ever. That's how I know they built great rapport. We're good to go. And then we move into that piece where we start talking about their financials. One thing I like to use sometimes is a lot of people don't understand the consequences of their actions, right? So what I like to show them, and I know it instills a little bit of fear, but in my opinion, I feel like it's good fear to be able to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
I asked them the same question is, how long you been renting for? I've been renting for 5 years. How much have you been paying? $2,000 a month. So I take 2,000 times 60 months. This is how much money you've wasted on rent.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that? They're like, oh, crap. I had no idea. I said, okay, let's say that you met me 5 years ago and we're having this conversation and you bought a house from me. You know, this money would be going to your bank account. What would you do with 120,000, whatever that number is?
Right.
Oh man, that will change my life. I'm like, all right, well, you're bleeding right now. We got to stop the bleeding. Let's get you into a mortgage. Right. And then that's how you're able to kind of just set the standard of like, hey, there's a little bit of fear. You need to stop doing it because you wasted a lot of money. Let's go this way. And most of the times like, hey, help me. Like, help me. I want to get out of this.
And I think the reason being is because most, as we mentioned before, most people that are currently renting or seeking a rental truly do not know that they actually qualify for a home. And they're afraid to find out because nobody likes no. You know, they're not in the same business or shoes that we're in to where we get no every day, multiple times in a day.
Scared of rejection.
Yeah, they're scared of rejection. And that being the case, they'd like to stay in that little comfort zone. So I've always rented. My parents have always rented. So I'm going to go and rent. And have you attempted to see if you could buy? Whoa. That I don't know. I don't think that's in the cards for me.
A lot of people don't like to talk about their financials in general. And that's one thing I also coach my agents on is you got to open up that door for them, right? By saying something along the lines of, most of my clients are wanting to purchase a home, especially if they're a first-time homeowner. They want to purchase a home with zero out of pocket. Does a zero out of pocket program interest you by any chance? And they're like, well, yeah, because most of them think they need 20%.
Absolutely.
But if I opened up the door, it's like, yo, I just sold this guy a house. He only paid $500 earnest money and got it right back. Zero out of pocket, technically. If I can do that for you, you interested? And they're all like, well, what are you talking about? So you got to open up that door for them to ask questions.
It's a leading indicator that you're guiding them to, and essentially, the answer to that question. Absolutely. More times than not, you will get maybe 10% that go, I don't want to rent. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And more times than not, those people are here temporarily and don't get the concept of buying and converting it to an investment property when you leave. Or they know for a fact that their credit is botched beyond belief. Now, even those folks that the credit is botched, and I had a property manager on here. She owns a property management company, over 200 properties under management.
Wow.
And she mentioned that the qualifications to rent are damn near the same as to buy.
I mean, it could be.
I mean, are you seeing apartment taking 400 credit score buyers?
Oh yeah,
really?
Worse. Yeah, I can get a 350 done.
Wow.
I don't know if I ever saw a 350, but I'm sure I could get it done.
One of those unicorns. You got to work hard to get there,
or not work at all. That's funny, man. But those guys, in my opinion, I feel like most people, it's harder to get a mortgage than it is to qualify for rent, because to get a mortgage for somebody that's self-employed, I mean, think about that. What you have to go through to taxes, to make sure things are done for 2 years. So it's a lot more difficult to qualify to buy than it is to rent, in my opinion. I mean, it could be different.
In most cases, they're very close. And it's a good thing that you brought up the self-employed, because I will tell you, prior to maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I didn't mess with what was considered non-QM, non-qualified mortgages, going through a broker for products that are not sold on the secondary market. And I'm not talking FHA, VA, conventional, USDA. I'm talking bank statement loan, DSCR, P&Ls, those cash flow type properties or loans that, in order to qualify, you can use your bank statements. But more times than not, you got to have a decent credit score and you got to put a little bit of money down.
A little bit of down. I think the interest rate's a little bit higher too, right?
Just a tad. I mean, they are being very, very competitive these days, to the point that we've closed more non-QMs in the past 12 months than we ever have. And I think it has a lot to do with self-employed buyers understanding that, you know what, I can either continue to wait, which, in order for me to buy the traditional way, I need to claim all the income on my taxes. And in order for me to do that, I've got to pay the taxes.
It's very expensive.
Exactly. But there are alternatives and solutions to those buyers that I think are being more projected, and at the same time, they are being more tolerated from the buyer's perspective. They're seeing everybody else not buying. So it's like, wait a minute, I might as well, because if rates are at 7 and I'm going to do this program, it's going to be an 8. It's not that big of a difference. At least I got the home before we go back to the market of multiple offers and everybody is putting in over the actual list price.
Absolutely.
And
my question to those people also is, what's the alternative? If the alternative, you're going to continue renting, well, what's your interest rate on that?
That's right.
Right. I mean, at that point, 1% versus 100%.
Easy.
It should be a no questions asked, let's do it. But a lot of people, is that fear is what kind of keeps them from really wanting to move forward with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%.
I've had so many clients come into my office, man, and just complain about the interest rates. And I'm teaching my agents is, what they do normally, and this is what a normal salesperson does. If until they get the coachings that they need, they start to sell right away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, interest rates are high. Well, historically speaking, interest rates have been blah 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 blah. That's not going to get the job done.
I agree.
Ask more questions. What about the interest rates? Oh, I hear that they're high. Compared to what?
Great.
I'm not really sure. That's what they're saying. Okay, what are you paying now for rent? You're 100% interest. So the media's throwing out a bunch of just junk at you to get you to not want to buy, just to keep you renting, and that makes no sense. And then you talk them down from that fear. Instead of you just start to sell, and you just start to, no, interest rates are the lowest since 2008, and blah blah blah. Like, come on, like there's no need for that, right? Ask questions, try to understand it. More than likely, the client's gonna answer their own question. Be like, you're right, I'm not fucking scared.
No, you're right. Matter of fact, let me see here. I'm gonna pull something up if I can find it. And it was a.
By the way, I just realized that's the first curse word I said in the last hour. I'm very impressed.
I'm pretty.
Oh, I said a few of them.
Just a couple.
Oh, damn. Oh wait, there's another one. Your guy in the background is like, hell, no, yes, you did.
I had Andy Hilger on here, and the whole time we had an hour long, and at the end it was like, wait a minute, we can cuss?
I didn't know we could cuss. Hey, Andy's dope,
my
man.
thing
I love
is,
Andy.
as long as you use it the right way.
Yeah. I curse at everything I do.
There was a social media post that this News 4 place put out, and it had to do with the affordability. And I want to find it before I ask for the reference to be thrown up there. But I want to get your thoughts on this. Let's see here. Scroll. Gosh, they post a lot.
I was about to say, you're deep in that page, and you're still not done with it.
Oh, right there. There it is. Boom. So this in itself, if you could, Joey, take us to that reference. So this post right here, essentially lower rents could lower apartment occupancy, lead to lower rent prices in San Antonio.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
We've already been noticing that for the last 60 days. There's apartments that are paying higher commissions.
Okay.
There's apartments giving away the whole farm, 6 to 8 weeks for free. That's not abnormal in this market, and everything's been coming down.
And is that like a cyclical thing, or like you said, because of this market? Because at the end of the day, people have to live somewhere, right? And what determines that? I mean, location, number one, and then price, number two.
Yeah.
That affordability piece, if rents are coming down in this regard, that means that they're not able to fill what those units essentially, accounted for.
Absolutely.
What do you think that that's due to? That is such an odd thing because, in my opinion, being a previous landlord, had multiple investment properties, I never had a shortage of tenants that were willing to jump in the rental property.
All my agents are cross-selling them, man. You know, that's why. All my agents are cross-selling them into homes.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm just kidding. But in my opinion, what I feel has been happening in the market is the buyer pool has picked up a little bit. So there's a lot more people actually buying homes. You know? So that's where I feel like they're getting away from the rent, and they're understanding that, hey, let me buy a house now when it's not multiple offer situation, and then refinance later.
Right.
So, and if it's an education piece, you educate your clients. That's what they should be doing at this point. And I've noticed stuff like this happens since I've been in the business.
Yeah.
That's why I set up my business the way that I have. It's like if apartment locating goes down, which it did in maybe 12 months ago.
Okay.
Business for us with residential picked up. And then when residential goes down, apartments pick up. So it's like I'm on the seesaw of business to where it's almost like bulletproof. We can't
bring it on.
Exactly. I'm ready to adapt to whichever market that's being thrown at us, you know? So what I think is really happening is more people are buying, more people are not being scared anymore.
They're getting off that fence.
I mean, think about all the buyers that got outbidded, that lost in the multiple offer situations. I've had a few buyers that 3 to 4 of them, maybe they're just like, man, I don't even want to just be rejected anymore. I don't want to keep getting the no's anymore. And they stop buying. Now these guys are re-entering back into the market and they're starting to buy again.
A little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes good sense. Joey, how long have we been going thus far? It'll say down at the bottom. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so we've got a little past an hour on this thing. I think we've covered everything that we intended to talk about here. Boop, boop, boop,
nice.
boop, boop, everything.
Time travels fast when you're having fun, bro.
You want to talk about that one?
Which one?
Is there any out there? Because I don't have much.
No, not
Yeah, I don't know if
necessarily.
there's anything.
You know, the last thing I'd say to that piece is, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people that are just not gonna like what you do when you start to build something really special.
Yeah.
And if you continue to work on yourself as a person, then you will be able to handle whatever's being thrown at you. It's like you smile through the bad times, you smile through the good times. And having your expectations set the right way, knowing that not everybody's gonna like you,
Yeah.
not everybody's gonna be a fan of you, everybody's gonna have their own opinion of you, and especially doing what we do, we put ourselves out there. It's like we're almost opening ourselves to that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All I can say is just keeping our head down with that and just block out the noise and then continue to improve. With time will reveal all,
Yeah.
like it always does.
No, you are correct. And I think that's something that I have to remind myself of. In many instances that actually occurs. I had it happen recently to where I had my sales manager leave and he was empowered with my business. Essentially, I was building a different business on the side, coaching, mentoring the loan officers, and all of a sudden, boop, I now have to jump back into production because somebody saw it better to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. I don't think that there was any ill intention, anything like that. But I think what they don't realize is that we're not going to stop for any reason. The world could be on fire and we will be with the extinguisher, setting the fires out and doing what we do best, which is moving the needle forward. Is it always easy? Is it always something that we can do without hesitation, no. The answer to that for me is no. It hurts sometimes.
Oh yeah, not sometimes.
And
all the time.
All the time. Yeah. Sure. I mean, if definitely that person, that group, that whatever it was that was a part of your business is now gone, you've got to restructure. You've got to figure out where I can move people, where we can bring in production, where all of the different pieces that in some cases, many would just fold up.
Yeah.
That's it.
People like us, man, we don't ever quit. That's the thing. Since I've opened up my business, a lot of people try to break off and go do their own thing, trying to copy what I'm doing, trying to, do the apartment thing. And in most cases, again, time reveals all. If you do things with bad intentions and you don't have any good intentions for the agents that you're pulling or you're trying to help out, is just thinking about money, it never really lasts, man. And what do they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Absolutely.
Right? Why do you think they make so much fake Gucci's and fake Louis Vuittons? They're not making fake Target stuff, right? So, I mean, that's just the way that I see it, is that if they weren't doing that, I'm not doing something right.
Yeah.
So that's where take the hurt and then at the same time channel it into like, hey, how do I not get back into this place again? What I've learned for myself is I built a system and a machine that if anybody were to take off, I'm okay, just because it's the machine that I can just bring somebody else in and then we can continue running. So that's what I've learned from all those lessons, I would say.
No, that's a great lesson to learn and to carry with you, because it's a long road to the top.
Oh yeah.
But I know that you are someone that is willing to take that hike and is willing to rough it out, and not very many people are. Well, if you're willing or able to do that.
If you find an elevator, let me know. I'll take that shit all day.
Maybe we can build
until then, until then, man, that's again, what's the alternative? W-2 job?
Boom. Yeah.
Not for me. I'd rather deal with everything being thrown at me than being told 2-week vacation, can't do certain things.
That's right.
I wouldn't change where I'm at or what I've done in my business or even what's transpired in my business. I would not change one bit of it. If it didn't kill me, it made me stronger. And now I'm becoming a better leader because of it. So it's like you win or you win.
I love it. I love that. Well, Rommy, it has been a great conversation. Plenty of nuggets that folks can pull from this. actually utilize in their business, hopefully aspire to help them do more. We've talked about the market. We've talked about current market. We've talked about conversions. We've talked about flying by the seat of your pants until you figured out, oh, wait, I need to build a business plan. I need to put systems in place. I need to be able to build a recession-proof business that can sustain anything that's thrown at it, essentially.
I agree, man.
Is there anything that you'd like to add, brother?
No, I want to add just actually one last thing, and it's not to the folks. It's actually to you, man. I've seen the consistency with everything that you've done. I've seen the podcast take off to where it's been taken off, and that all comes from straight hard work and you leading with value. So my best advice is keep doing that. I want to see good people win at the top, and I'm proud of you for all the stuff that you've accomplished so far, man. So keep it up.
Rommy, that means a lot. It really does. Again, hopefully we can maybe have another one of these discussions as we move forward.
It won't take 2 years this time, bro. I promise. Now I'm ready to show face.
Good deal. He's had his podcast cherry broke, you guys.
And it was a good time.
Yeah, man, we got some good stuff out of this. That being the case, guys, I hope you're actually getting something out of this. I hope that you're able to share this with somebody who may need this information. If you are actually getting something out of this, as Rommy mentioned, the podcast is doing a great job as far as the viewership, the people engaging with it. I want you to be a part of it as well. Please throw us some comments in here. We'll go in and respond to them. Also, like and share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We changed it to Key Factors Real Estate AF. And by the way, the AF stands for and finance. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Rommy, thank you for joining me today.
Of course, bro. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Joey, as well, man.
Yeah.
You guys stayed late for this, so I appreciate y'all.
Guys, we will catch you on the next one. Welcome to Key Factors Podcast, where knowledge meets ambition in the fast-paced world of real estate and mortgage. I'm your host, Mark Jones, bringing you the latest insight, trends, and expert advice to navigate this dynamic property market. In each episode, we dive deep into the heart of the industry, dissecting market movement, exploring investment strategies, and unlocking the secret to real estate success. Whether you're a seasoned professional, an aspiring investor, or simply looking to stay ahead of the curve, this is the ultimate guide to making informed decisions in the world of property and real estate. So grab a seat and let's uncover the key factors that make all the difference. Welcome to Key Factors Podcast. Let the journey begin.